I first must explain that this is my first go, my first attempt at working on an animated feature. So this was really a voyage of discovery for me. The first thing that I would always start, which it has in common with all my work, if you're dealing with a book, the book becomes the Bible. You know, that is going to be the source of your inspiration and your storytelling, especially because this particular project was going to be extremely faithful, and indeed the most superb job of taking the graphic content and the style of Raymond's work. By knowing the book and then by seeing the sort of bare bones animatic, you know, I'm beginning to form thoughts in my mind about, you know, what is this book about and what is the approach of the film. I'm absorbing all information all the time. And then you then go through this process of, you know, what a composer is. And, you know, what does a painter do? He starts drawing and he starts painting. And in the same way, I started writing. And the good thing that happened with this is that I didn't have to struggle for a style. It just really flowed. And so from the very first moment of playing the first theme, the first opening title theme, everyone felt I was there. That's of course a great relief, because in the business of writing music for film or television, you know, it is actually the opening. You are giving the audience the first bit of information about what is this about. I've long been of the opinion that a life for a composer dealing with media, he must not have an ego, because his is not the only voice. You know, if you want the only voice, write for concert, and then people are there to hear the music. People are here to see a film, you know, of which the music is, albeit very important, but it is a part of the editing, the acting, the shooting, the setting, the sound effects, the dialogue, and so on. That this is all must be a composite whole, and we must all be moving in the same direction on it. 4, 5. My job, when I walk into the room and there are the 16 classically trained players, of highest standard, members of the leading orchestras in London and so on, and chamber music solos, etc., a wide range, but all of them superb. I've got to say this is the way it goes, you know, and they're so quick, so fast, so sensitive, so musical, you know, that they give it back to me. I mean, take one would be a qualified performance already. On the second day, when we dealt with the more topical music, popular music, an entirely different generation of musicians take over the studio, because they're the jazz players. I've asked specifically for people who can play in a jazz idiom. They have to be as good and as clever musicians, because again, they would not have had any idea of what they were going to play when they came into the studio. And they immediately had to assimilate it, but they were qualified. Sometimes we ask them to improvise and set up the music in such a way that they have enough information, the correct sort of information, to be able to make it up the way jazz musicians make it up. And of course that immediately gives it a character of you know, that period. And so in fact I started the rehearsal to say that we are dealing with the year 1928. You know, which was a particular style with a lot of improvisation and a particular way of blurring notes, delaying notes, distorting notes, and it's even written in another way. You know, where two quavers, which would be played da-dum, suddenly becomes da-da-da-da-da, you know. So this is, you know, again, something one has to learn about.
Any old iron, any old iron, any
Choosing unusual instruments to sort of make an effect, you know, so that in the washboard case. Basically, I wanted to suggest something like street music, without actually, because the singer who is singing Any Old Iron, is not singing in any particular key, so there would be no point in adding a piano, a pitched instrument to it. But I was just thinking of something that makes just an accompanying instrument that would just fill out the sound a little bit. So I decided on the washboard, which is so interesting. Did you notice he was using thimbles, sewing thimbles, to hit the metal? From there. I thought that was charming.
What's Jane? Old iron, diddle-diddle-ladder. All right. Hey!